Hey, it's Frank Sardella here, host of Will Work for Patients. How is everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well, and I hope you've been listening repeatedly to the show. I put it there for your benefit to grow your practice and give you advice and inspiration, both via my guests and through the advice that I and they give you. And I hope to be providing advice that's really helping you expand, whether we ever speak or not. That's the goal of Will Work for Patients. So I have also worked tirelessly over the last several years to bring you a portfolio of products and services that other people are as expert in as I am in the true screening process and so on and so forth. And I have actually worked to find those premium services to bring to you so that you would have other resources that would help you grow in every area of your practice, in every aspect, in every way, with virtually no stone left unturned. And though I still am looking for many, at this taping, we're well over 40 and growing, with plenty more on the horizon with no end in sight. So I do encourage you to continue to find out about these resources that we have, and you can find them on willworkforpatients.com, chiropracticmarketingadvice.com, screeningexperts.com, and broadcastwellness.com. So all of the websites do have affiliate partnership type resources. You will see me occasionally do these videos on the ones that I'm really super excited about and the ones that I really, really have faith in. And today I want to talk to you about one that I'm very excited about from the very moment that I came in contact with this app. I want to talk to you today about something called Maximum Performance Solutions, developed by Dr. Gary Fieber, 30-year practice veteran chiropractor and practice management consultant, and also an innovator in terms of practice growth tools, particularly the app and system that I want to talk to you about today. Again, it's called Maximum Performance Solutions. I first met Dr. Fieber as a guest on one of my client shows that I produce. I produce podcasts through Broadcast Wellness for chiropractors, wellness professionals, and other types of professionals as well, incidentally. And he was actually a guest, again, on my client show, who's a chiropractor down in Nashville, Tennessee, who's currently using Maximum Performance Solutions to go with his sports-related chiropractic practice as well, and he wanted to interview Dr. Fieber as an expert in the subject. And just sitting in on the interview as the producer and listening to what Dr. Fieber was talking about and the innovations that he built into the app, and he based it on a pattern he used in his practice and how he innovated that and boomed his practice. And we're talking from like below 100 visits to over 300 in an extremely short time. You know, he definitely had my attention. And in my opinion, this app is a really powerful practice building tool in terms of efficiency, in terms of efficacy, and in terms of the creation of a depth, as I call it, to your practice growth. Now, very oftentimes we get caught up in the new patient getting process, and it's a grueling process, even if you're using the internet, such as, Google ads, or if you're doing Facebook ads and things like that, and you're taking calls off the internet. If you've tied in other modalities and perhaps are using Groupon or some other advertising tool, and or if you're going out and doing talks, screenings, etc., you're working very hard to bring people in the front door, and it's a never-ending stream of people that are seemingly unrelated. I mean, short of going to a corporate event where they're all sort of related, but even then, each employee is not related really to the next. So building a depth out of that, it's a very linear growth, and it's a very never-ending, exhaustingly practice building, activity. And so I want to talk to you about putting a depth into that, and that's really what Dr. Fieber did with this tool. What I'm talking to you out of today is my own impression of this tool through hearing Dr. Fieber talk, both in his interview on this particular podcast and directly with him, with me grilling him for the hard questions, but not so much the hard questions about give me a tour and tell me how this app works. the hard questions in terms of, I want to know specific things about A, how you used it, B, how you recommend it's used, and C, what the possibilities are for use. And then I want to add to it my conclusions and ask you more questions based on those conclusions in terms of how I see this app as a power tool that you can use. And very quickly, I was able to formulate how this would fold in. Now, I've been saying all over the place, and you'll hear a lot more of me saying this, that this tool is compatible with my true screening process and my lifetime patient ladder systems. And it absolutely is. My true screening process, as you know, or you may have heard, is actually the true screening process. It's the screening process as it was meant to be and as it was used successfully before it was brought into chiropractic and turned into a sales pitch type process, or a sales pitch based process, an offer making process, as opposed to a sort of medical screening and recommendation giving process. The true screening process is something I developed based on the original process that we stole from the medical profession, and how I was able to take that process and bring it back to battery by eliminating the scripting, eliminating the sales and offers, and turning it back into what it was meant to be. That's just a quick and dirty on the true screening process. And the lifetime patient ladder came from me observing thousands of people at screenings, also thousands of people who became patients, and studying them over a period of a couple of decades, and really putting all of that data together, really looking at it and putting it into a sequence, and actually having discovered 17 states of mind from practically nothing or less than nothing, negative nothing, if you will, all the way up to a lifetime referring patient type mindset. And there are 17 states of mind, the center of which, step number 9 on the ladder, is the exact state of mind I isolated as the exact place someone needs to be in. No more, no less on that ladder. Literally, you can overshoot the runway. No more, no less on that ladder, where they have to be in to not only actually secure their next meeting with you, but do 3 things. Actually keep their word that they're going to come for that meeting, for the reason of they know exactly why they're coming, and they know that reason is something they're getting from you, not treatment-wise, that is going to satisfy something in them that they're very curious and interested about. So it's a much deeper process, and it's now not only a system that you can use to boom your practice, but it's also a system that suffices as a yardstick, a measuring stick, if you will, where you can use it to measure up other things. It's also a power booster you can plug into any existing thing that you're doing and make it work even better than it was, because it undercuts it. It actually is the basics. It's the fundamentals that underlie any successful marketing campaign, even ones people have been doing for years. And that is years before I discovered the lifetime patient ladder and the true screening process. But getting back to Maximum Performance Solutions, I measured this up almost immediately and found it the perfect plugin. And I have a lot of programs I'm endorsing right now that fit that description, but this one is rather unique, and it's unlike any other program. Now, I'm not going to give you the tour of the product, but I want to tell you the highlights of why I'm in love with this program and why I want to recommend that you don't delay in speaking to Dr. Gary Fieber. It won't cost you anything to sit down and ask him the hard questions about it, get a tour of it, and then ask him how that would actually fit into your practice. And I really mean ask him how it would actually fit into your specific situation. That's something that he will gladly do for you and actually give you, and even give you the advice on whether or not this would be an ideal situation for you as well. But I can tell you, I can't think of one scenario where this wouldn't be the ideal, because the thing that I keep saying about it is it adds a third dimension. It adds a depth to what you're already doing. I already talked about promoting out the front door for patients, for new patients coming in the practice constantly. And this isn't a ploy to get you to realize that you're not doing any reactivating type activity, but even those who are doing patient reactivation are having difficulty in that they're still exhaustingly finding they have to promote for new patients out the front door, and just this unrelated stream of people that are coming through the office and becoming patients, and maybe not staying as long as you'd like them to, or maybe staying as long as you'd like them to, but just not being in sufficient volume. Or even if it is in sufficient volume, then once again, we get exhausted from having to keep that type of flow going to not only sustain that volume, but to grow from it and even back off our goals a little bit because of the exhaustion and because of, look, there's only so many patients that I can crank in here. So Maximum Performance Solutions adds that third dimension to it. It's a linear process, but what Dr. Fieber has done is he's developed an application that allows people to download a simple app where they can actually take a couple of photographs or videos of a loved one, particularly their family. Part of his program is to actually have them go home and screen their children. This is how this started and how he boomed his practice from under 100 to over 300 a week in an extremely short time. I'll let him tell you just how short of a time, because I don't think you'd believe me. You need to hear it specifically from him. You can also hear him on my podcast in episode 47, where he talks about his whole story. But getting back to how he developed it for use, that's how he boomed his practice, just with families alone. And not to mention, while he was telling me about the family practice that he boomed and how he boomed his volume, I was just calculating all of the different scenarios that I could think of, from sports teams to community groups to corporate groups to business groups and networking, and just on down the line, group after group after group, on how you can expand off of one person and how many connections that they have, familial, social, professional, and anything else you can think of, right? So any group they're connected to. Now, that's not a new or novel idea. That's something all of us know. You're probably sitting there going, well, I knew that. I ask my patients to refer their family members all the time. I ask my patients where they work and try to get into their workplace constantly. I ask people for referrals from their friends. I ask them, who do you know who lives locally who has a health problem? You've all been through it. Everyone's been through that. Everyone's asked for that. But we've done it ad nauseum. And I say ad nauseum, meaning to the point where we're sick of doing it because of the lack of results we're getting with it. Or it's like pulling teeth, or however you want to describe it. But the point is what Dr. Fieber has done is he's given you a tool to actually send your patient out to screen those people and to have those results come back to you and have you interpret the screening just as though you met those people fair and square at a public event, at a corporate event, at a screening, at a talk, wherever, through your Facebook ads and they called in. Everything is a screening process. Once you make that first contact, it's a screening process. This is a way for your patients to make first contact for you, other than that, hey, I want to tell you what a great guy my chiropractor is, or the wellness professional that I'm seeing. I want to tell you what a great result I got. By the way, in my program, I show you how those are not the types of things that somebody needs to do to be successful to get someone in your office. Sharing their miracles and their successes is a big no-no. I just did a podcast episode on it about the fact that sharing miracles and sharing your personal successes and anything to do with treatment is not the way to get new people in the door en masse. It's not the way to get the majority. In fact, it's a way to repel people. Now, I won't get into here why. Let's just assume it to be true for the moment. And that being said, explaining your reason for exhaustion. And if you want to know whether you fall into that category or not, I invite you to go out to your waiting room and crack open the binder that has those success stories in. And I challenge you to find one that's not a miracle or I got help getting rid of blank. And those are the stories that don't help get in. And if you notice, when you screen somebody, you're not really talking about success in treatment. And certainly my true screening process has you far away from that. Now, just knowing that could really boom your operation if you just change that one thing. However, it does leave you a little bit in the dark as, well, what should I do in place of that? Because that's all I'm doing. But let's get back to Maximum Performance Solutions. Let's say that we are sending a team of patient screeners out there. Dr. Fieber has an invented app that allows them to do just that without even having to do a lot of talking at all. It gets them to do the screening on their family members, on their children, on whoever it's going to be in that group, and those results can come to you, and that can be the conversation starter. That first contact that I describe with a patient in the community, that is the screening process. Again, mind you, first contact defined as first contact. It has to be a screening process once that first contact is made, even if it's through your Facebook ad, even if it's through your Groupon. First contact. So it doesn't matter whether you do screenings or not. You need to send your patients out equipped with tools to be able to affect, not just sharing their successes from your office, but to affect people actually taking the next step, taking action, but taking the next step, not the big kahuna action like, all right, you got rid of your headache, so I'm going to come in and get rid of my headaches. No, I mean, nobody's ready for that. It's almost unbelievable to them. It might have been a freak accident in this person's eyes that their friend or family member got rid of it. But in the case of parents with their children, they care about their children. They're very much in charge of their children, and they're very much directive of what calls to action the children are following. And they will call them to action and make sure they follow through, because they're responsible for the care of the children. So we use the example of that because that was Dr. Fieber's greatest success in practice, and that's what I'm in love with. But once you master that, you'll be able to master any group, any connection that a person has, and get them to apply that much in the same way. Now, Dr. Fieber's program, it comes with the app. It comes with a bunch of things, and I'm, again, going to let him give you the guided tour of like the materials and the system and how that all works. But the basis of the program is you get set up with his materials and all of that, and once you set it up in your office, the app is actually paid for and downloaded by patients. And when I say paid for, it's not a $30 app, folks. It's $5 that you get them to spend. The easiest sale you'll ever make, because he gives you the pitch that makes them want to download the app and screen their children, their family, their coworkers, whatever it is. So do you see the genius here, and why a guy who invented something, or who discovered actually the true screening process, and this lifetime patient ladder, these sequential states of mind people get into on their health, and how to use that ladder to get them to take the desired action, all the way up to living a wellness lifestyle and referring many people to you, everyone they know to you, okay? That is coming from that position. This host of this show who's out there to give you everything I got to make you win in practice far beyond what you thought you could do, to convince you that you are so much more than you think you are, and to show you that it's true. And in bringing you products like this, that's what I aim to do. So what I want you to really do is don't take my word for it. This video is not a sales pitch. This video is a call to action, but the action is not to buy. Let me make that completely clear. I'm going to repeat myself. The action is not to buy. It's to get Dr. Fieber to give you a tour of Maximum Performance Solutions, to explain the program himself. I want you to hear what I heard from him, not my interpretation of it, not someone's review of it. You talk to him and look at your practice situation, which brings up a quick point about reviews. Reviews, good, bad, or otherwise, especially good reviews. Most people are like, watch out for the bad reviews because you don't want to believe those, because every practice is different. But I'm going to caution you about good reviews too. Even the good reviews don't necessarily dictate it's going to work for you. Even when the reviews are good, you shouldn't respond yet. Yes, you can let these things influence you, but you need to get it from the horse's mouth. And this horse is neighing pretty loud. Let me tell you, talk to Dr. Gary Fieber and hear the genius that went into this. I cannot endorse Maximum Performance and Dr. Gary Fieber enough since I've met him. I'm convinced. I know his immense background in coaching, all of his journey throughout those years, and prior to that, his near 30 years in practice and booming his practice from under 100 to over 300 visits a week in the shortest time you can imagine. So you actually need to not delay on doing the next action, and that action is to find out not only more and not only direct from Dr. Fieber, but get him to talk to you and find out about your practice, your situation, and get him to predict what he feels you can or cannot get out of this product. And I got to tell you, I have a very selected group of people that I'm extremely tight with that I consider straight shooters, if you will. And Gary is one of the straightest shooters that I know. And he will tell you up front what he thinks, even if that is that this is not the right time for you to do it or it's not the right fit for your practice. But I got to tell you, I can imagine how anyone wouldn't be the right fit, especially those who are doing high volume. A lot of people are like, well, I'm already high volume, so I don't really need to do this. But the exhausting process of maintaining and expanding from that high volume to give depth to what you're already doing. That goes for you if you're low volume and you're hurting right now. The depth of what you're already doing. Maybe you're exhausted at a low volume for getting those patients in. If you were to add a depth to the results you're getting, not just the linear result of exhaustingly getting those new patients in the front door as fast as you can, even if that's a low volume. Imagine if you added depth to it and every patient equaled multiple patients that was coming in. No fail, that would be a different ballgame. And that's what I want you to think about when you decide whether or not you're going to take this particular piece of advice and contact Dr. Fieber. So what you can do to contact Dr. Fieber is go to the podcast website. Go to willwork4patients.com. That's number 4. willwork4patients.com/MPS for Maximum Performance Solutions. So willwork4patients.com/MPS. And you will find all the information there on what I talked about. You will find information on Dr. Fieber, and you will see how you can take that next step. You'll also see some promotions and perks that I periodically offer just for you, A, to talk to Dr. Fieber, and B, that if you move forward with him, support that I will give you. That's how much I'm behind this, okay? I'm doing a lot of stuff for free just because I want to see you succeed. I want to see that depth, that third dimension added to what you're doing. I don't want you to have to be exhausted and happy. I just want you to be happy that you're expanding and you're helping an increasing amount of people in your community. And if we can get everyone in the profession doing that in some way, shape, or form, we've created the billions that we need to sway wellness care on this planet, which is my goal, and I'm sure at least started out as your goal. And that's the purpose of Will Work for Patients. I put it in place so I can reach the masses of you to reach the masses of the people you influence. And that equals a buttload of people. That is the planetary shift and impact that we need to make, and we can make it. And it starts with you adding depth to the actions you're doing and getting really super efficient. You will quickly see you can do way more than you thought you could, and your goals will change as a result. You'll have to bump them up because you'll know that you can do it. And that's what I really wanted you to know today. I want to thank you for listening. Do reach out at the website, willwork4patients.com/MPS. I'll see you on the air.